Your objective for today is I can identify text and graphic features in a text and explain how they help me understand the text. So today, after your video, you will be doing a text and graphic features you do on Cami, and then there will be a word sort on in Canvas, and then I want you to do a quest in eSpark. So in this module, we will read text and view media related to documents and symbols that represent the values and ideals of the United States. Represent means to stand for something. I've been using this word represent quite a bit in our math when we're doing our numbers stories. I am asking you guys to draw circles to represent whatever it is that we're measuring. So maybe if we're splitting something between 5 people, I'm asking you to draw circles to represent the 5 people. Turn in your book to page 222, 223, and I'm going to read over what's on here. The flag is a symbol that represents the United States. We will be learning about other symbols of the United States. So as we're reading this, I want you to think about how do historical places, documents, and symbols represent our nation. At the bottom of the page with the picture, it says, I love to see the starry flag that floats above my head. I love to see its wavering folds with stripes of white and red. All right, so we're going to be looking at a short video that has some different historical places and things that we have in our nation.
Let's take a trip. Touring the landmarks and monuments of the United States can teach us about the ideals our country values. First stop, Philadelphia. The Liberty Bell was first used to call the citizens of Philadelphia to civic events, like town meetings. Even after a big crack meant the bell didn't ring anymore, it was an important symbol. The words on the bell talk about liberty for all. That's why people working to end slavery were inspired by it. Today, the bell is tapped on important dates, including the 4th of July and Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Buckle up. Next stop, Washington, D.C. There are so many great monuments here. But let's check out the Lincoln Memorial. It honors President Abraham Lincoln. He believed in the right of all Americans to share control of our laws and leaders. His memorial is a symbol of democracy and a great place to take a selfie. Next, let's go to Church Creek, Maryland, to the Harriet Tubman Underground Railroad National Park. You can walk in the brave footsteps of Harriet Tubman, who helped people in slavery escape to freedom along a network of secret routes and safe houses. It was a dangerous journey, but Miss Tubman walked it many times. That makes this land very important. In fact, the land itself is the monument. Our next stop isn't exactly a stop. The Great Seal is a sign of our sovereignty. It's used on official documents to remind people that our country has the right to rule itself. Wait, before we go, see the Latin words on the scroll? E pluribus unum means one from many. The phrase is meaningful to the United States because our one nation was created from 13 different colonies. So the next time you see a dollar, remember, it's not just something to buy a snack with. It's a symbol of the people who have worked to create a country that is free, democratic, and united. How about you? If you could create a landmark or monument, what would it be? And where would you put it?
All right, so turn in your book to page 226 and 227, and there is this knowledge map, and we're going to start filling this in and hopefully get to it a little bit later. But while we were listening to this, that we heard about some different monuments and symbols that represent America. So the symbols that we kind of had talked about were the American flag, the Liberty Bell, and the Great Seal. Write those three things next to the symbols. And then the monuments that we heard, although there are many monuments, these were just the two that we heard. You have Lincoln Memorial in Washington, D.C., and then you have Harriet Tubman Underground National Park. So get those written in your book as well. All right, so this week we are going to be focusing on nonfiction, and we will be reading several nonfiction selections. And nonfiction gives only factual information, so facts. It tells about real people, places, and events, and it often includes text features such as headings and captions to help the reader understand the information. So a lot of times I know that when someone asks you what is nonfiction, we might say nonfiction is real. And I want to get away from that because nonfiction gives us real information. So I want to focus more on the information part of it. Looking at the poster, we've had a poster about different text features. And remember, text features present important parts of the text in a different way. So text features are the way that words are written. When you look at this chart, you can see bold-faced or italic type, and they can show emphasis or indicate a title. Headings and subheadings name the topic of each section of the text. Sidebars are information or are boxed information that adds to the main text. Captions tell about the picture and it's usually below it. Bullet or numbered list show main points or examples. Those are all text features because they have to do with writing words. Graphic features are visuals such as timelines, illustrations, pictures, graphs, maps, and tables that help explain ideas in the text. So at the bottom of this page, there are two graphic features. You have a timeline, and it shows important events and dates, and you have a graph, and it plots data in a visual way. All right, turn in your book to page 228, 229, and our text is called American Places, American Ideals. This is an informational text. The informational text gives us facts and information about a topic. So when I look at this, just before I even read it, I have to ask myself what text features are on this page. And I can see a couple different text features. So one thing that I can see is this is in bold words, so that's probably going to be the title. I also see this part right here is in italics, so it's going to be giving us maybe a little bit more information. And then I can also see that we have headings in blue. So I see headings. Another thing that I see are highlighted words because that tells me that they are important. I see italics and then I see labels. So this is labeling what this object is. What graphic features are on these two pages? Well, I can see that there are illustrations of each of these buildings. So there's an illustration that goes with each of these buildings. The other thing is, this is actually a map. So this is showing you where the different monuments are in Washington, D.C. And Washington, D.C. is right beside a river, so here's the river. And then you've got some streets in here, some buildings that show you that this is a map. So I see a map, the little icons or symbols, and the illustrations. To help readers, or why did the author include the map? Well, the author included the map to help readers understand where each of these places is located in Washington, D.C., like I said. All right, so in your book, I want you to highlight or underline all of the headings that show important places. So you should be underlining all of these blue ones: the Lincoln Memorial, the Jefferson Memorial, the White House, the Washington Monument, and the United States Capitol. Those are all the headings. And then think about, how do the headings help you find information? Well, the headings here are giving me an idea about what that section's going to be about. When I read this section right here, I'm going to be reading about Lincoln Memorial, so it's going to be giving me information. The heading helps me to understand that. So headings tell what topic that the text will be about. It also lets us know what each illustration is showing us. All right, so looking at the one side of this, we're going to focus on one part, and it says, what kind of information does the text in the box give you about each of the headings? So this one, Lincoln Memorial, the text says, Abraham Lincoln was our 16th president. Lincoln led our country through the American Civil War from 1861 to 1865. The Lincoln Memorial was finished in 1922. The memorial holds a statue of Lincoln and his Gettysburg Address inscribed on one wall. The memorial honors Lincoln and his ideals of freedom and justice. So some information that I'm getting on here is when each site was built. So this one was finished in 1922. Why each site was built. So this one was built to honor Lincoln and what he stood for freedom and justice, and who each site honors. Again, it honors Lincoln. So we're going to look at the White House next, and we're going to complete the sentence. The illustration shows the blank. It is important because blank. So we're going to read this and then fill in the blanks to help us to better understand what we're reading. The White House. In 1992, let me try that again. In 1792, workers began to build a house for the president. President John Adams was the first to live in it. Late during the War of 1812, British troops set the house on fire. Workers fixed it and painted it white to cover the damage. After that, it was known as the White House. The White House is a symbol of democracy. Democracy means rule by the people. It's how our government works. We are free to choose our leaders by voting. So as I'm thinking about this, I know that this illustration shows the White House, and the White House is important because the White House is a symbol of democracy. It's a symbol to show how our government is run. All right, let's look at another one. We're going to do the same thing. This one is the Jefferson Memorial. Thomas Jefferson was our third president. He wrote the first draft of the Declaration of Independence. It said the United States of America was free from Great Britain's sovereignty or rule. The Jefferson Memorial was finished in 1943. It holds a statue of Jefferson looking toward the White House. Beside the statue are the words from the Declaration of Independence. So this illustration shows the Jefferson Memorial, and it's important because the Jefferson Memorial has the words from the Declaration of Independence written on the walls. The Declaration of Independence says that the United States is free from Great Britain. All right, so this is the one that you guys are going to do on your own in your Canvas. In Canvas, there will be CanMe pages for the Washington Monument and for the United States Capitol. You are going to do what we just did, which is tell me the illustration and why it is important. So once you finish your do, then you will go back into Your objective for today, the canvas, and you will complete the word sort.